All right, family, welcome to today's trade recap. Today is May 13th, 2026. Pianelski. Break even day today. One win, one loss. We'll get into it. The loss, it's my fault. I should have went break even. I should have, could have, would have, but it happened so fucking quick, and then I was waiting for price to hit the high. Whatever, we'll go over it. However, there was about 5 setups today that presented themselves, and I'm going to go over all of them, long and short. So coming into this morning, let's just start off with my bias. I was leaning a lot more bullish than I was bearish, and the reason for that being is if we come to 930, you can see that we just came down and we left relatively equal highs at all-time highs, and we got a nice good retracement into about 50% of this range right here. Right, this was where like 930 was opening up. We just tapped 50% of this range. We're rejecting this 4-hour for value gap right here. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm expecting us to push higher from here. Okay. So that was pretty much it. It was pretty much surface level analysis. We had this 15-minute. And this 15-minute was my condition, but I didn't want to short. I was more convicted on long, so I was just going to wait for possibly a resweep of this low right here. And then I would look for longs. As you guys can tell, I'm pretty fucking sick. I can barely fucking breathe right now, but we're still going to push content out, whatever. Okay, we had this 15-minute that we were in, and then we also had this 5-minute. Let me just delete all this other shit so it's not confusing. All right, cool. So 5-minute bullish gap, 15-minute bearish gap, whatever. At this point in time, I'm like, cool, if we can get a push into this 5-minute and then a rejection out of it, I'll go ahead and I'll look for longs. Or if we just start displacing through it, I'll sit tight and then wait till we take out this 4-hour intermediate low, and then we can possibly long from there. So 930 opens up and we just start displacing through everything. And then we ended up getting a 30-second in here. So, I mean, I didn't really like this 30-second. We still had this 1 minute, I don't know. This wasn't really a good play. I guess you could have went break even, but the 30-second ended up failing. And then we ended up getting the resweep that I was talking about. So this 15-minute is holding. This 15-minute bearish gap is holding. And we just got this 5-minute inversion back to the downside. But again, at this point in time, we just took out this 4-hour intermediate low. So if we can see rejection at this point, I don't mind longing, but we also have this unfilled 15-minute beneath us. So I guess the smartest play right here would have been wait for the 15-minute to get hit and then look for longs. But I really liked what I was seeing, and I was actually really okay with this loss. I didn't give a fuck about it at all because I had a good break-even point. My break-even point was going to be this high right here. And whatever, right? We ended up coming up, getting a V-shaped recovery. I go ahead and enter off of this candle close right here, and I guess this candle opening, targeting this high, and my stops are resting right here. And what ended up happening? We edged my break even, but it was a bad break even. I should have went break even at the 5-minute BPR right here. And that is the reason I got stopped out of this trade. So nice little learning lesson, a nice little journal lesson. And yeah, as you guys can see, we ended up just shitting the bed. And when we shat the bed, we got this 1 minute short right here. So some of you guys might have shorted exactly where I got stopped out at, which is pretty funny. We rejected this 5-minute. Okay. We're still holding this 15-minute. We got the 15-minute inversion as well. We got a 5-minute inversion as well. We came back up, tapped this 5-minute. We have an unfilled 15-minute below. Now, the reason I didn't like this trade is because the draw on liquidity. Technically, we did not have to come back down towards this low right here because it's a low that just swept out another low inside of a higher time frame for value gap. Okay, so this draw on liquidity was pretty shit, but we did have an unfilled 15-minute. So like I said, if you guys were bearish for whatever reason coming into this morning, this was your best short setup of the day. If I was to look at this and not realize that we were inside of a 4-hour gap, and if I just come to the 5-minute and this is the only thing I'm looking at right here, and I see a 5-minute inversion tapping in the 5-minute and I see heavy rejection out of it, yes, I would probably short this with no context. Okay, but with context, I didn't like this. I would much rather have longs coming out of this. So that was a 944 short. The next trade I want to go over is a 952 4-minute long. So what do we end up doing? We ended up coming down into this 15-minute, and now it looks like we're displacing heavily past it. But we actually still respect this 15-minute. This 15-minute right here ends up holding. We have an SMT with this low right here on ES. ES was trading a lot lower. And then we ended up coming and creating a 4-minute bearish for value gap. Now my 4-minute on this never loads. Here it goes. And we ended up getting this 4-minute version right here. I didn't like this trade because the more obvious gaps in this leg was that 3-minute and then also this 2-minute BPR. If I wanted to long this, at least a 2-minute BPR, get closed above, and then I guess my entry point can be something like this. I mean, that's still a pretty big stop loss, just de-risk on this trade. Maybe 3 to 5 micros. And yeah, and then obviously the 3-minute didn't close as well. So we ended up just chopping. We kind of had like this AMD on the lower time frames, but we didn't really tap into anything. We tapped into this 15-minute rejection block, just no fair value gaps. So for me, in these conditions, no fair value gaps, no trades, but we ended up coming down and tapping into this rejection block perfectly off the AMD. And then we ended up getting this 1-minute right here. Great eval play. Great eval play. Never would have took this on my fundeds, but again, we have that lower time frame AMD as well. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Okay. We ended up creating an order block as well. So this would have been the trade idea. Stops either right here or right here, wherever you want, and then you can just aim for this high and go break even at this high right here. So overall, pretty clean trade idea. We just weren't rejecting off of anything. This ended up playing out. I actually really like this, but again, we just weren't rejecting off of anything. And I already took one loss. So I am just waiting for a much clearer setup to essentially make that loss back, right? I'm not going to revenge trade off of a B graded setup. Yes, this worked. Yes, the draw liquidity was clear. Yes, I'm bullish, but we're not really rejecting off of anything. So that was that. And then the next two trades, there was a 10:34 30-second and a 10:42 1-minute. So let me delete this shit. Okay. We got a resweep of this high, but we ended up creating a 5-minute bullish gap. So here's my condition. Okay. Again, I wouldn't short because the targets are pretty dog shit. It just not my favorite targets for shorting. But I wanted to see a tap into this 5-minute, and then we can look for longs out of it. And what do we end up getting? We ended up getting a tap into this 5-minute, and then there was a 30-second somewhere in here. Super premium. Had a good break-even point with this high right here, because I believe the 30-second, you guys can go look at this. It happened at 10:34. I think the 30-second closed like somewhere like right here. So again, just aiming for this high. Stops would have been right here. And it looks like it would have been a break-even play. And then we ended up getting a resweep of this low. Okay. And I was explaining to my one-on-one students this morning when I was going over this trade idea with them that this is basically exactly what happened on the higher time frame. Okay. As you can see, we swept out another low inside of this 4-hour fair value gap, and then we got a V-shaped recovery back to the upside. Okay, all time frames moved exactly the same. What do we get? We get a sweep of this 5-minute intermediate low instead of the 4-hour, right? And then we get a V-shaped recovery back to the upside. This 1-minute probably traded today for longs, and then just target about a 1-to-1. And I believe there was also a unfilled 1 hour as well, which was, I was resting right here. So my stop loss placement on this trade was at the bottom of this candle right here. And the reason for that being is I'm treating this as a rejection block. Okay. And we pretty much took out 50% of that rejection block. So there should be no reason why we come down and revisit this area again. And then my break even point was right here on my fundeds. And I didn't go break even on my evals because I really didn't give a fuck. I was like, okay, if I fucking, if I blow them, I blow them. It is what it is. Right. And then, ended up running straight towards TP. So break even day, like I said, made about $661 on those accounts, and I made about $30 on my top sub accounts. Pretty break even week. Yesterday I didn't trade yesterday. Or I did trade. It was a break even. But the day before that, I forgot what today's what day. I didn't trade on Monday. So yeah, pretty much a break even week. If it's slow for you guys, it is what it is. It'll get better. Trust me. Especially if you guys are on Lucid. I know Tradeify is the same thing. I don't know about Alpha, but if you guys are on Lucid and Tradeify, they don't rebill you monthly. So just take it slow. There's no reason to rush the accounts. Now, if you're on Apex, I understand you only have 30 days past it. Or if you're on Top Step, I understand it rebills every 30 days. But if you guys are on the other two, just try to take it as slow as possible, okay? Because there's no reason to rush it. You're not going to get rebuilt, so it is what it is at the end of the day. It'll get better. Trust. The markets will get better. They're actually starting to clean up. Last week, I took one trade last week. It was a break even. But it's starting to get a little better now that we're not severely all the way up here at all-time highs. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you guys are struggling a little bit. Okay. I love y'all boys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.